She walked those city streets every day, head down, blending into the crowd. No one ever noticed her, until the moment when everything changed. Because sometimes, when you think no one is watching, the world is waiting for your courage. Every city has millions of stories, and most never see the spotlight. Heroes? We imagine they wear capes, save the day in big ways. But what if the real ones walk among us, unseen, until the day they're called to act?
It was just another Tuesday, the sort of morning that seeps into memory only because nothing marked it as special. Heavy air, sky muted with thick clouds, and that constant New York hum. I moved in slow rhythms, exhausted from another 12-hour night shift. My thoughts were locked on patient charts and pill counts, drifting through the fog of fatigue toward nothing more ambitious than a cup of coffee and an empty seat on the subway. Headphones in, the city faded around me, just shoes and stories passing by. No one stopping, no one seeing. But then, in the static, a cry cut through. A voice, frightened and small, almost lost to the rush of foot traffic. Instinct pried my eyes from my phone. There, at the street corner, a young boy clung white-knuckled to a signpost. His face was panic-pale. Beside him, a large dog barked, straining at a leash, and people so used to city noise just walked right by. Normally, I wouldn't get involved. There were always 10 people closer, always a reason to keep moving. But something about the boy's voice, high, afraid, held me in place. I was more tired than I realized, but I moved forward, drawn by a force I can't explain. I crouched at the boy's side, lowering my voice to that gentle, careful tone I'd learned at the hospital. "Hey, little man, is this your dog?" He shook his head, wide-eyed, finger pointing at the groceries spilled from his mother's arms. His mom was frantic, on her knees, apologizing to everyone and no one, trying to calm the animal, gather her son, and salvage her dignity. I focused on the dog, my movements steady and open. The barking softened, the leash loosened, fear giving way to curiosity. I handed the mom a fallen bag, shielded her and her son as impatient walkers streamed past us. In seconds, it all simmered down. Suddenly, it was quiet again. The crisis was over. I helped the mother to her feet, patted the boy's head, and thought, that's it. Small thing, blink of kindness. No expectation, no witness. I melted back into the crowd, except someone had noticed. I caught a flicker in my periphery, an upraised phone, a stranger's face half hidden by a hood. I shrugged it off, but somewhere inside I felt the wind shift. The city missed nothing, and nothing ever really vanished. The day after, I woke to texts buzzing like angry bees. Best friend, old co-workers, even my second cousin from Kentucky. "Is this you? Seen this yet?" Someone had posted a blurry phone video of the sidewalk rescue, and it was everywhere. "Nurse saves mother and son on NYC street corner." I cringed at the headline, the comment section filling up with hearts, applause emojis, and debates on whether the moment was staged. By noon, local reporters were calling the hospital, strangers smiling at me on the subway, people mouthing, "Thank you." It felt strange. A piece of my private life, just a moment of doing what felt right, stretched and magnified for the whole world's consumption. I couldn't escape the story, even in grocery aisles, at takeout counters, or while waiting for coffee. "You're the nurse from the video, aren't you?" Gratitude was nice, but recognition sat uncomfortably on my shoulders. I'd only done what anyone should do. The effects rippled in ways I hadn't expected. Management at the hospital congratulated me, and a local radio station left a note in my mailbox. "Come share your heroic story with New York." My parents, proud but bemused, texted photos of online headlines, but there was a darker side too. Anonymous letters slipped under my door. Not all heroes get happy endings. Nasty DMs, cryptic messages, doubters online. Was someone jealous, angry at the attention, or just a troll? Fame, even the accidental kind, is a strange fire. At first it feels warm, soon it burns at the edges. The same city that lifted me up could turn cold, suspicious, eager to see flaws or secrets. My quiet act, meant just for one frightened boy and his mother, had pulled me into a whirlwind. Sometimes, when you do the right thing, the world rewards you. Other times, it changes you in ways you never could predict. I never set out to be anyone's hero, and yet, the city's eyes followed everywhere I went. Strangers stopped me for selfies, eager to tell their own stories of small kindnesses, hoping to catch a bit of that viral magic. Not all were fans. Some muttered under their breath, assuming I'd staged the whole thing for attention or that I was chasing fame. Old friends reached out, some just to congratulate, but a few to question my motives. Did I call the media? Was it all a setup? The pressure built slowly, like another heavier night shift I could never clock out from. On my walks home, I started noticing graffiti on lampposts, on stray brick walls. "Thank you, Julia," scrawled in Sharpie. Sweet at first, but soon I'd overhear debates outside bakeries about whether Julia the hero nurse was real or just another internet myth. My anxiety ratcheted up. I'd done nothing special, but my life no longer belonged entirely to me. Every night when I closed my eyes, I relived the rescue. Sometimes I replayed the boy's terror or the mother's overwhelmed gratitude. Sometimes the moment redrew itself as a movie, crowds swelling, spotlights flashing. Was I a hero or simply a tired nurse who just refused to walk away? Then the city called. An official invitation to a Hero Award ceremony from the mayor, a glossy envelope, gilded edges, promises of televised handshakes and standing ovations. I nearly didn't go, but my parents insisted. On stage, the lights were blinding. The mayor said, "You reminded us that community is built on 1,000 unseen gestures." The applause was thunderous, but I shrank within it. Afterwards, the mayor's assistant slipped me a letter. "This isn't the first time someone's quietly saved a life here," she whispered. "Want to know more?" The world grew even larger, and so did the mystery. The mayor's assistant's words lingered, leading me down a rabbit hole I never expected. I started searching back through old news stories, hospital rumors, even my aunt's neighborhood gossip. And what I found was the city's tapestry of heroes, men and women who, like me, did the right thing without anyone looking. The crossing guard who pulled a runaway child from traffic and disappeared before anyone even got his name. The barista at the corner cafe who quietly called 911 when a regular overdosed, saving a life no one else noticed. The bus driver, old and gruff, who sensed trouble one night and thwarted a robbery before it could begin. Each hero had their own reason, a painful memory, an old debt, a simple refusal to ignore someone else's suffering. Most never talked about their acts, never invited recognition. Some had even chosen to stay anonymous for years, living with the invisible pride and the quiet weight of being a silent savior. I started visiting these people, sitting with them over coffee or on park benches. And every story they told came wrapped in humility. They insisted, "I'm not a hero, just a person who did what was needed." It was contagious, this secret community of ordinary greatness. I began to realize that small acts, even those that seemed to fade into the background, were the stitches holding our community together. But then, another letter slipped beneath my apartment door. This one cold and threatening. "Stay out of stories that aren't to yours." My hands shook. Was it a neighbor who resented the attention, a jealous coworker, or some stranger from my new online shadows? I refused to be afraid. For every act of kindness, there might be risk, I thought. But hiding was not in my nature. With encouragement from the silent heroes I'd met, I agreed to speak at a community panel. I stood on a small stage in a downtown library, rows of faces. Curious, guarded, hopeful, blinking back at me. "I'm not special," I told them, voice shaking. "I just did what anyone with empathy should do. The real fear isn't just stepping in when someone needs help. It is living in a world where no one does." That honest confession opened a floodgate. People nodded, some teared up, some just quietly listened, and I felt, for the first time, a peace settle in my chest. Afterward, the little boy from the rescue rushed up to the front, hugging me so tight I nearly dropped the flowers I'd been given. "Thank you," he whispered, "for not leaving us alone." His mother, now beaming with pride, explained she'd begun a support group for local parents, teaching kids and grown-ups to recognize and react to emergencies. Stories of everyday heroism began to pour in. A metro driver who performed CPR on a passenger, a high schooler who shielded a bullied classmate from ridicule, neighbors who quietly checked on the elderly during storms. I never wanted fame, but if my 15 minutes of accidental spotlight could spark a pattern, if my mistake can inspire just one more person to help, then maybe that was why the story caught fire. Maybe the real reward wasn't the headlines, but the quiet revolution in city hearts. Sometimes you have to be seen so the world can remember what bravery really looks like. Sometimes the magic of heroism is simply caring when everyone else looks away. Julia walks home that night, phone buzzing with messages, her mind finally at peace. Across the street, she sees a man hesitate, then step in to help a stranger who's fallen. The ripple effect is real. Maybe the world isn't waiting for one hero. It's waiting for us all to stop, to notice, to care out loud. And sometimes, when you think no one is watching, the world is. And your courage can change everything. How will you act when you think no one is watching?